Well, not any complete surprise because these rumors seem to crop up periodically, but actually there hasn't been any contact by Washington, no hinting or anything else to give me a clue. So the fact of the matter is that the man in the street knows as much about it as I do.
You know, sometimes you feel that maybe he knows a little bit more. He hears the rumor first.
Well, I'd certainly expect that the newsman would be at least a jump or two ahead of any of us as far as that's concerned, but I don't expect any offers from Washington.
Once they become graduates and they're out on their own, will this program continue to assist them in any way?
Yes, we want to follow our graduates up for 5 years. Those who go on to college to find out where they go, how well they do in college, how successful they are, as well as follow up the students who go on into the armed services, who go on out into the world of work to find out how successful they are, and then get information for them as to how we might modify our program to make it better for those students who are coming on after them.
What about dropouts from the system?
The school system itself, or the
Well, students who
establishment.
just say, well, or their parents say, we don't want our child to be computerized anymore. We want him out of that program.
Well, of course, this may be a problem. I do not think that it will at this particular point. Again, I think it's a matter of educating our parents and the public as to what we're doing and why we're doing it.
If we can show them that it's just not the wives and the families, but it's all Americans care about those men over there, it'll come down to this point: which is more important to them, making concessions on just 1,600 men or facing the threat of losing all the sympathy they've tried to gain? And that's the reason that we are taking these letters as a tangible proof that Americans really care. We're going to take these all the way over to Paris and attempt to deliver them to the North Vietnamese. And if they won't, we'll dump 12 million letters all over their doorstep.
I can't say because there isn't any way to make anything but a speculative answer on a question like that. Where there's been no offer, how do you know what kind of a job is offered for what purpose, where? My guess is that there will not be an offer, and certainly one would have to look at it, but I have had the opportunity to go to Washington in the past and have not been able to, and I don't see much change in my present situation.
Politically speaking, Mr. Mayor, are you a Nixon man?
Yes, very much. I like the approach Mr. Nixon has had to his problem solving, and seems to me to be straightforward and direct, and you can hear what he says and understand, I think, what he means, and I like that.
Well, we're trying to, of course, improve our program and increase the quality of the product of the Dallas Independent School District, and at the same time reduce the costs for the taxpayer.
What will you be asking these children?
Well, we have a lot of information right now that we don't have computerized that we could use in tailoring our programs to meet the needs of individuals. We spend over $100,000 a year right now on testing. All kinds of achievement tests, IQ tests, interest inventories. What we want to do is to put all of this onto the computer along with the health record, the socioeconomic information that is necessary to enhance achievement, and make this available to the classroom teacher so that he can do a better job in teaching the student.
Lieutenant, since you were a prisoner for almost 2 years, why do you think these letters will help?
Well, the way the North Vietnamese told it to me, the war will be won when the American people get fed up and cause withdrawal of the troops from Southeast Asia. So they rely very heavily on American public opinion.
a whole new approach in reaching the youth of today. These Dallas youth are being taught mini-bike riding by the Dallas Police Department Motorcycle Division in cooperation with the American distributorship of La Honda Motorcycle Sales and the Moreland branch of the Dallas YMCA. Most of these youngsters, all of them, the 12 you've seen, have never touched a mini-bike before 3 months ago.
And the automobiles are multiplying by the day. Everybody is affected by the pollution that comes from automobile exhaust. And this is the most deadly type of pollution because it's this heavy lead. This is that comes about with premium gasoline.
Right, exactly. La raza unida, like I said before, it's a spiritual concept, meaning unity. You know, raza literally translated means race. Now, that's literally translated, and that's very poor translation. So we're not talking about a race. We're talking about a spiritual concept which we are uniting behind.
Rene, aren't some of your people tired of waiting and rather militant?
Yes, I would have to say so.
What
Some.
about those violent militants in your organization?
I think there's room for all of us in this movement.
Do you endorse their actions?
If they're my brothers, I would endorse their efforts, but like I said, I think they are a very, very, very small percentage.
Are you prone to violence?
No, I'm not.
George, I guess most people remember the YMCA as being a place to go on Saturday and swim and a place where you learned how to make lanyards and braid billfolds. And now it's mini bikes. Why?
Right. We still have the many other programs, or the traditional programs, but this is one of the newer programs that is being initiated in the YMCA through the National Honda Association. It is a pilot program now, and within the next 3 years, Honda will donate 10,000 mini bikes all over the United States to all of the YMCAs. This program is designed to help the child, help the youth learn precision riding, safety on the mini bikes. As you know, the mini bikes is here to stay, and this is the YMCA gives the child a place to ride these bikes without being on the street. You have to be a certain age before you can get a license, and it's becoming a menace to the highway and to the police department.
I think probably the concept of teaching these children or these young kids to ride mini bikes goes beyond just something for them to do. I think it probably builds a lot of character. Is that part of it?
Right, definitely so. We're working with the Dallas Police Department, or they're working with us in training the youngsters in precision riding and safety on the mini bikes. Here they develop a more positive outlook towards the police, and many things are involved here.
And this is really a joint effort between the Dallas Police Department, the motorcycle division, and Honda and the Y,
Right,
all in one package.
It is.
What kind of plans do you have in the future for groups like this one?
Well, they will be doing performances for many different activities. We're really trying to get ready for next year this time to do halftime activities for football games in this particular vicinity.
What's been the reaction by these kids' parents?
Oh, it's wonderful.
Did they have some reservations maybe at first about it?
Some, not too much. We've had a lot of good cooperation from all of the parents.
What about the routines they do? How long does it take to work up something like a figure eight, which is pretty complicated?
Well, it's very complicated to me, but they seem to catch on real easy. We started one day, and the next day they were doing it.
I see, too, that they can't pass up the jump. They can't go by it.
They can't.
They have to go over.
Right.
What seems to be their reaction, outside of the fact that they have experienced something that many of them have never seen before? What do they tell you about it?
Oh, their reaction is just fantastic. We set up practice, say, 9 o'clock, and they're there at 7 every day.
The wedding did go off well, but it almost didn't. You see, the telephone connection between Thailand and Everman was so bad that Justice of the Peace Sheffield almost didn't hear Avery's replies to the questions. All this taking place on a day when the telephone company is raising rates in Fort Worth. Jay Lewis, Channel 8 News on the Move, Everman.
The Fort Worth City Council has delayed for 1 week awarding the ambulance service contract for the next 2 years. The apparent low bidder is Gold Cross Ambulance Service, who's asking for an annual subsidy of $146,880. This represents a 63% increase. The city is currently paid about $90,000 in subsidy payments. The prime contractor, Ray Crowder Ambulance Service, did not win the bid. Gold Cross says that it must have the increased subsidy in order to update the ambulance service, that is, put new medical trainees, technicians on board each one of the ambulances, as well as better and more equipment for the ambulances. The chairman of the Ambulance Study Committee, Dr. Edward Gwynn, discusses some of the changes in the contract.
Well, the primary changes involve amendments to the ordinance that was adopted November 16 of this year. Those amendments involve a change in the requirement of the primary contractor to have EMTs, or emergency medical technicians, in attendance at all times. We've diminished that from 100% requirement to 75%. In other words, 25% of his working force can be operating on temporary permits, which would be valid until the beginning of the next training class.
Regardless of who ultimately pays for the increased subsidy, the city must have an ambulance service. Next week, that contract is expected to be awarded. Art Sinclair, Channel 8 News on the Move, Fort Worth.
It's a real-life love story. You see, Marlene Kloss wanted to marry Avery Smith. They're both in the Air Force, both permanently stationed at Carswell Air Force Base. The problem is this. Avery is currently in Thailand on temporary duty. Marlene is here. Now, she would get sent to the Philippines 1 day before Avery was due to come back to Carswell. They wanted to get married, and they didn't want to wait 6 months or a year to do it. So what they did was set up a transatlantic telephone call. Justice of the Peace Preston Sheffield performed the ceremony.
Rodney, in place of Avery Lee Smith, will you have this woman to be your wedded wife? I will. Marlene Ann Kloss, will you have this man to be your wedded husband?
I do.
Will you love and honor and keep each other sacred forever, as long as you both live?
I will.
By the authority invested in me by the state of Texas, I am pleased to pronounce you husband and wife, whom God so joins. Never let man break the bonds asunder.